The first thing Commander Elias Vance noticed about the planet was how quiet it was. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, like drifting through deep space with nothing but the hum of your ship. No, this silence felt watchful, like the world itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what he would do next. Atmosphere stable, came the voice of his onboard AI, Cora. Oxygen levels slightly higher than Earth standard. No immediate biological threats detected. Elias adjusted his gloves and stepped down from the landing ramp. The soil beneath his boots was soft, almost sponge-like, tinted with a faint violet hue. Strange crystalline growths dotted the landscape, catching the dim light of the planet's distant sun and scattering it in soft pulses. "Let's hope that skin holds up," he muttered. The mission was simple on paper: reconnaissance. A deep space probe had picked up faint energy signatures here, something consistent with intelligent life. The Federation wanted answers, and Elias, being one of their best field operatives, had been sent alone to investigate. But something already felt off. No movement, no wind, no sound, just that suffocating stillness. He moved cautiously forward, scanning the terrain. His visor highlighted faint trails in the ground, paths, maybe. Something had moved here recently. Something alive. "Thermal readings?" he asked. "Minimal," Cora replied. "However, I am detecting a localized energy fluctuation approximately 100 meters ahead." Elias exhaled slowly. "There it is." He advanced, pulse rifle raised but not aimed. The crystalline formations grew denser the farther he walked, forming a kind of natural corridor. The air felt warmer here, almost alive. And then he saw her. At first, he thought she was part of the landscape. She was kneeling at the center of a small clearing, her form partially obscured by translucent, glowing structures that seemed to grow around her like protective petals. Her skin shimmered faintly, an iridescent blue, almost liquid in appearance. Long, silver-white strands flowed from her head, drifting as though suspended in water despite the still air. She wasn't moving. "Life signs," Elias whispered. "Confirmed," Cora said. "Non-human. Stable, but unusual." "Unusual how?" "Her biosignature appears to be fluctuating." Elias frowned. "Fluctuating? Like she is both present and not present simultaneously." "That's comforting." He lowered his weapon slowly. She didn't look dangerous. If anything, she looked fragile. Carefully, he stepped closer. The ground beneath him gave a faint, almost musical hum as he approached, like the planet itself was reacting to his presence. The crystalline structures shifted subtly, opening just enough to allow him through. She was closer now. Up close, she looked even more otherworldly. Her features were delicate, almost ethereal, with large, closed eyes and faintly glowing markings tracing patterns across her skin. She wore no visible clothing, but her body was partially covered by a thin, translucent layer of something organic, like a second skin formed from light itself. She looked peaceful. Too peaceful. "Hey," Elias said softly, kneeling a few feet away. "Can you understand me?" No response. He hesitated. Protocol said to observe, not interfere. But something about her, something about the way her energy signature flickered. "Vitals are dropping," Cora said suddenly. Elias stiffened. "Dropping?"
"Yes."
"She appears to be destabilizing." "Define destabilizing." "Unknown. But if the trend continues, she will cease functioning within minutes." Elias cursed under his breath. "Is there anything in her biology that suggests what she needs?" he asked. "Insufficient data." "Of course." He looked at her again. She hadn't moved, but there was something, some subtle tension in her form, like she was trapped between states, unable to fully exist. Think, Elias, he muttered. He'd seen strange life forms before. Energy-based species, symbiotic organisms, even beings that required specific environmental triggers to survive. But this felt different. Energy fluctuation source? He asked. Centered within her, Cora replied. But it is responding to external stimuli. Elias blinked. What kind of stimuli? Unclear. However, your proximity has already altered the pattern slightly. He froze. Wait, you're saying I'm affecting her? Affirmative. Elias looked at his gloved hand. No way. He hesitated, every instinct telling him not to interfere. But another instinct, something deeper, something human, told him that if he did nothing, she would die. All right, he whispered. We're doing this. Slowly, carefully, he removed his glove. The air was warm against his skin. The faint hum of the planet grew louder, resonating through his fingertips. Contact may be risky, Cora warned. Yeah, Elias said. So, is letting her die. He reached out. For a brief moment, he hovered just above her arm. Then he touched her. Everything changed. The moment his skin made contact with hers, a surge of energy exploded outward. Elias gasped as a wave of light erupted from her body, racing across the clearing in a blinding pulse. The crystalline structures around them flared, their glow intensifying as if reacting to the sudden surge. And her eyes snapped open. They were unlike anything he had ever seen. Deep, luminous, filled with shifting patterns of light that seemed to move with impossible depth. They locked onto his instantly, and for a moment he felt her. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally. It was like a floodgate had opened, and something vast and ancient poured into his mind. Confusion, fear, loneliness, and then recognition. She inhaled sharply, her body trembling as the fluctuating energy stabilized. The faint glow beneath her skin grew brighter, more consistent. Elias pulled his hand back instinctively, staggering slightly. What the hell was that? He breathed. She is stabilizing, Cora said. Your contact appears to have synchronized your biosignatures. Synchronized? Your presence is now directly influencing her state. Elias stared at her. She was sitting upright now, her gaze still locked onto him. There was no fear in her expression anymore, only curiosity. And something else, something deeper. She moved slowly, carefully, as if testing her own body. Then she reached out. Elias tensed, but didn't pull away. Her fingers brushed against his hand. And again, that surge, but this time it was gentler, warmer. Images flashed through his mind, fragments of memory that weren't his. Vast landscapes of light, endless fields of crystalline growths, a sky filled with shifting colors he couldn't describe, and her, alone, for a very long time. Elias whispered, his voice barely audible. You've been alone here? She tilted her head slightly, as if trying to understand his words. Then a voice, not spoken, but heard. Alone until you. Elias froze. You can communicate? Her expression softened. Learning from you. He let out a slow breath, his heart racing. Okay, that's new. She studied him closely, her glowing eyes scanning his face, his hands, his form. There was a kind of wonder in her gaze, like she was seeing something entirely new. You are stable, she said. Elias let out a small laugh. That's one way to put it. Your touch brought me back. He looked at his hand again. So, what you needed physical contact? Not physical, she replied. Connection. Elias frowned. Connection? She placed her hand over his again. You are constant. Anchored. I was fading. He swallowed. And I stopped that. Yes. Silence settled between them for a moment. Then Elias asked the question that had been forming in his mind since the moment he saw her. "What are you?" She paused, as if searching for the right concept. "We are the Echo." Elias blinked.
We
Her gaze dimmed slightly.
were.
That single word hit harder than he expected. "They're gone," he said quietly. She nodded. "I remained, but without connection. I could not stay." Elias felt something tighten in his chest. "So you were dying?" "Yes." He exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. "And now?" She looked at him, her eyes glowing softly.
Now.
"I am not alone." Elias hesitated. This wasn't just first contact. This was something else entirely. Something deeper. And far more complicated. Because if what she said was true, then his presence wasn't just helping her. It was sustaining her. And that changed everything. Days passed. Elias stayed. He told himself it was for the mission, to study her, to understand her species, to gather data for the Federation. But deep down, he knew the truth. He couldn't leave her. Not anymore. Every time he moved too far away, her energy would begin to fluctuate again. Not as violently as before, but enough to remind him that their connection wasn't optional. It was necessary. For her. And, increasingly,
For him.
because the more time he spent with her, the more he began to feel it too. That connection. That strange, invisible bond that formed whenever they touched, whenever their minds brushed against each other. She was learning quickly. Language, emotion, even humor. And Elias was changing. He found himself thinking differently, feeling more aware, like his mind had expanded in ways he couldn't fully understand. One evening, as the planet's sky shifted into deep shades of violet and gold, they sat together in the clearing where they first met. "You never told me your name," Elias said. She tilted her head. "Name?
Yeah.
What do I call you?" She thought for a moment. Then Lyra. Elias smiled. "Lyra." It fit. "All right, Lyra," he said. "Then I guess you should know mine." She looked at him expectantly. "Elias." She repeated it softly, the sound forming perfectly despite being new to her. "Elias." There was something in the way she said it that made his chest tighten. Not just recognition, but meaning. "You changed everything," she said. Elias shook his head. "No, we changed each other." She considered that, then smiled. And for the first time since he arrived on that silent, watchful world, the planet didn't feel so quiet anymore.